Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. My name is Cheryl Thompson. I'm the founder and CEO of CADIA, which is the Center for Automotive Diversity, Inclusion, and Advancement. And I'm so excited to welcome you to this workshop. It is the GLEAM workshop, which is Girls Learning Engineering and Mentoring. And this is so important. I spent over 30 years in a career in automotive, mainly in manufacturing engineering. And as you can imagine, I didn't see many people that looked like me. And that is changing. And I have the honor and privilege of talking to so many successful female engineers in the field. And what I hear time and time again is the influence from teachers, counselors, parents, mentors in the field. So wherever you fit into those categories, just know that your support is so needed for young women and girls in nurturing their interest in STEM. And SAE does such a phenomenal job of supporting students, whether in middle school, high school, or in college, and then all the way through their careers. And we cannot do this alone. It takes every single person. Women need to help women, women need to help young women and girls, and we need our allies, our men. I can't tell you how many men have been so important to me as a mentor, as a sponsor, or even as an ally. So I am thrilled to welcome Dan Nicholson, who is retired Vice President of General Motors, as our ally and to make some ally remarks. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. I'm really excited to be part of this and to talk to everybody that's in the audience today. First thing I'd like to say is maybe a few more words about my background. I had a 42 and a half year career at General Motors. That was made possible by starting at the young age of 18. So I was a co-op student at Kettering University, at the time General Motors Institute, and grew up with the company, and that's what I came to know and love. After graduating with my undergraduate, I went to Texas A&M University for my master's in mechanical engineering, took statistics classes at Oakland University and other places, and then went on to do an MBA at Stanford University. So I'm now recently retired and very involved with SAE and giving back in all the ways that I can, and that's been important. One thing I wanted to say with regard to girls learning engineering, for me, having women in engineering has always been part. When I was an undergraduate, I had lots of female classmates, nowhere approaching 50%. That's still very aspirational for all of us, but women colleagues were there from day one in the classroom for me. In fact, I want to highlight just a few, mentors that I had that were female. My first boss at General Motors was actually a female. So I was working in a plant as an 18-year-old and had a female supervisor. And that, of course, was great. I learned a lot you always learn a lot from your very first supervisor. I also had a chance to do an overseas assignment, and I had a German engineer, female, that was my direct supervisor for 5 years, and I learned quite a lot from her, and she was a absolute great leader. And I also had the opportunity at one point in my career to work directly for Mary Barra. So she may be a name that's familiar to some people here. She's, of course, the CEO of General Motors, and for some time she was, my direct supervisor. But I've always had awesome female colleagues, and it's been a normal part. One of the things I'm passionate about is increasing opportunities for female engineers in engineering, because one of the reasons is I believe we need a world with more engineers. And so one of the easiest ways to get more engineers is to increase the rate of females that are choosing careers in engineering. So that's what I'd like to talk about today. If there's any young women that are considering what their careers would be, I'd like to say that engineering is a really awesome career. It's really collaborative. I think people that are outside of engineering have maybe some kind of mental image, or maybe not an image of all of what engineers do all day. It's not one of the most known careers, but engineers are really building the future. So if you're excited about making the future come true, whatever your vision for the future is, whether it's fantastic electric vehicles, like I was involved in developing, one of the things I'm proud about in my career is I'm uh, kind of involved with the Ultium platform that underpins all of General Motors electric vehicles. So that's kind of the capstone on my career that I'm really proud of. So you're really building the future. Also, while engineers are individually responsible for their parts or their parts of the system, it only works together as a system. So I think people don't really realize how collaborative it is. Some people think make engineers go and they work in their office all day, but it's a highly collaborative people part of the business, because you can only accomplish great things by really working together. This leads to the importance of sort of mentors, and mentoring that actually starts early in people's lives. So in my generation, most of the engineers I knew either had, oh, their father was an engineer, or their uncle was an engineer, or their next door neighbor was an engineer. They somehow knew somebody and became excited through any kind of activity or interaction with the person about what that is. So for everybody that's an engineer, I mean, it's really important to actually be open about what it is you do for a living. Try to influence young people that this is an exciting career and how important it is, and that they should consider it. Especially, of course, if they're gifted and interested in math and science and sort of making the future happen. Because I think that's one of the messages that I've also liked to give to any young people that are watching this video is, please be assured and confident that you can do it. Engineering is a very tough discipline for undergraduate. I like to say that no one gets an engineering degree by accident. It's not one of those degrees where it's like, oh, I'm really trying for this, but if that doesn't work out, I'm just gonna, go for engineering. No, engineering is a tough undergraduate program, but it is achievable. It's very achievable with hard work, working together. I mean, you will do a lot of individual work. I can remember working on a single problem for a whole hour and still not getting it. So persistence is really important in sticking with it. But it's also a lot of group projects, group work, working together, learning how to work together as an effective team to accomplish a technical objective. So it's really a terrific undergraduate experience and leading to a great career. With regard to career opportunities, engineers are in demand. In fact, there's a need with all the things happening in this country, in the U.S., in industry and building out infrastructure. There's more and more need for engineers, and so I like to say there are no unemployed engineers. There's always job opportunities. Now, sometimes companies ebb and flow, and you may need to change career directions, but engineers are always in demand. And so it's a great career from that perspective too, that you have to worry less about than a lot of other careers about, where's my next paycheck coming from? There's always in demand for engineers. I'd also like to say a few things about SAE. SAE has been really instrumental in my career from many aspects. First of all, I joined SAE when I was 18 years old because I wanted to work on the Collegiate Design Series project Mini Baja. And so in order to do that, you had to become a student member. So I paid $5, became a student member, and got to work on a really cool collaborative project outside the classroom, hands-on with Mini Baja. So I think that's a great experience. So if there's people on that are thinking about, how to get involved in cool projects in college, Collegiate Design Series is really famous, really well respected, and really a lot of fun and a great way to learn hands-on. Over time, I stayed involved. I'm currently a member of the SAE Detroit section, but as I've moved around the country, I've been members of 4 different sections: Mid-Michigan section, Gulf Coast section in Texas, and Northern California section out in California. Always stayed involved with sections. At one point in time, I chaired a technical committee, and then I became involved with the SAE Foundation, which is the charitable arm of SAE that's inspiring curiosity in STEM. The SAE Foundation funds programs like A World in Motion, which is in the classroom, inspiring young people to be curious about math and science, which hopefully will lead to a career somewhere in STEM and engineering and those sorts of things. So I'm pretty passionate about that. And right now I'm serving on the SAE board of directors. I'm in my 4th year serving on the board, which is a great way to give back and help lead the organization that does so much for industry as well as for the engineering discipline and the engineering career. So, and all along the way, this is a people business, and mentoring and relationships matter. And so SAE is also a great way to build out a network outside of your company. If you work, for a small company, it can be helpful to interface with other engineers that are doing similar work from other companies. And if you work for a large company, it's a great way to learn other people in your company through SAE events and activities. So that's sort of networking, which can lead to mentoring and to helping others in their careers. A lot of the contacts, networks, and mentors that I've had, I've met through SAE in one way or another. So shout out to SAE and an encouragement for everybody to stay involved, get involved, and work through that. I hope you found these comments somehow helpful. I know this is a diverse audience with a lot of different people coming from different perspectives. So thank you very much for your kind attention today.
Hi, everyone. I'm back. It's Cheryl Thompson from CADIA, and I am pleased to bring you our professional panel. I love learning from other women that have gone before me. So I think this is going to be phenomenal for everyone. We all get a chance to learn from each other. And it's so inspiring for me to see women supporting women during International Women's Month and every day of the year. So I'm going to start by introducing each of these women with just their name and company, and then I'm going to give them an opportunity to talk about their current role and just a brief career history to get us started. So I'm going to start off with Alba Colón from Hendrick Motorsports. Welcome, Alba.
Thank you, Cheryl. It's great to be here with you and with all these amazing women. So yes, I am Alba Colón. I work at Hendrick Motorsports. My title is Director of Technical Partnerships. A little bit about me. I grew up in Puerto Rico, and being in the automotive side was never even a dream for me. But I got very fortunate to work on a project related with SAE International. The project is the Formula SAE, and the rest was history for me. I got hired at General Motors and now at Hendrick Motorsports, and I have been very proud to say 30 years in the automotive industry, and owe everything to SAE and all the opportunities that provided me to be here today. So I'm very happy to be here and to get to know everybody here.
Thank you, Alba. Yeah, you just hit on something so important, that exposure. You didn't know a career in engineering even existed. So I love that. Thank you, Alba. Next, we're going to go to Vismita oh my goodness. Sonagra, thank you. I practiced it ahead of time, I promise you, but I like freeze. So Vismita, please share your current title at Bosch and maybe a brief career history for yourself.
Yep. So hi, everybody. My name is Vismita, and I'm a senior systems engineer in the Power Solutions business unit at Bosch. My main tasks are working on hybrid mobility, hydrogen topics, and I also lead some of the university outreach efforts for my company in North America. A little bit history. My background is in automotive engineering. I have a degree in automotive engineering from Clemson, and I moved here and I've been with Bosch for about 10 years. A little bit just like Alba, I also got introduced to a lot of automotive topics and competitions through Formula SAE. So I've been in SAE ever since I was a college student. So it has definitely had a big impact on what I do today.
Thank you so much. Next, a name I can't mess up, Cheryl Stark from Stellantis. Please tell us your current title and give us a history of your career.
You bet. Okay. Hello and good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, wherever you are when you're watching this. So I'm Cheryl Stark, Senior Vice President of Technical Safety and Regulatory Compliance at Stellantis. Stellantis is the owner of 14 iconic vehicle brands, which include Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Alfa Romeo, Fiat, and Maserati brands that are sold here in the United States. I serve as the company's Global Technical Compliance Officer. And I also lead the North America region by working with all of our United States authorities and others in Canada and Mexico that we work with for regulatory development of future safety and environmental regulations. Then we do the vehicle certification and compliance related activities, which are needed to enable the commercial sales. And then we do investigation and recall campaign execution when there's a potential regulatory non-conformance of items in the vehicles. So I've been working in the industry for 40 years now this year and working at 3 different major automotive OEMs. I started my career as a co-op student working at General Motors in manufacturing when I was attending Kettering University as an engineering student. And then for the next 27 years, I worked in powertrain engineering across Ford, General Motors, and now Stellantis. So I've been now working in the technical safety regulatory compliance for the past 8 years. And throughout my career, I've moved through many different positions, assuming positions of increasing levels of responsibility, particularly as I gained expertise and experience. So relative to education, I have a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering from Kettering in Flint, Michigan, a Master of Science in Electronics Computer Control Systems from Wayne State University in Detroit, Michigan, and then an Executive Master of Business Administration from Michigan State University. And it's a true pleasure to be here today with all of you to share my experiences and hear your experiences in the hope that they will all motivate and inspire others.
Thank you, Cheryl. Really looking forward to digging into some of your career experiences. As you were talking through some of your career history, I didn't even know some of these fields existed, right? The opportunities are just endless in engineering. So Jessica Swan from General Motors, tell us about yourself, current title and history.
Certainly. So hello to everybody. I'm Jessica Swan. I work at General Motors as the SAE Relationship Manager. So you may be wondering, what does that mean? That's a unique title. I look to bring value to GM and SAE through our partnerships together on standards development, conference sponsorship, collegiate competitions, and any other needs that may arise. So it's really a unique and exciting position that I have currently. I have been at GM for about 17 years, and most of my time has been spent in the embedded control space. So I like to say I've kind of worked on a little bit of everything. I've done transmission software, engine controller hardware, autonomous software leadership, and then I've done full vehicle controls management with the Hummer and with the Lyric, and a little bit of people leadership as well in my current role and past role. Education-wise, I do have a bachelor's in electrical engineering from Michigan Tech, and then a master's in software engineering from Carnegie Mellon.
Awesome. Thank you. My husband's a controls engineer, so I know a little bit about that world. Cheryl, I want to start off with you. You've had just an incredible career journey. I'm sure you faced some barriers along the way. You mentioned 40 years in the industry, and I just realized I'm coming up on 40 years in the industry, and it goes by so fast. And for all the young women listening, I just want to share something kind of funny. I remember when I first got into the industry, I was working with a tool and die maker that had 30 years experience, 30 years of seniority. And I said, wow, you have more seniority than I am old. Be careful with that. Because now I had someone say that to me and I'm like, oh my goodness, payback. So
true.
Cheryl, can you talk about a significant barrier that you faced and how you overcame it? Just, help inspire this next generation coming behind us.
Sure, absolutely. Like there's been lots of challenges I've faced throughout my career. Honestly, the biggest one was just getting started. Early in my career, I really struggled to get meaningful tasks and assignments, and it was incredibly frustrating. I felt like if I could be given something to do, I could learn it and perfect it and gain it as a part of my experience. But every time I started a new role, eager to contribute, it's like I struggled to find direction or be given any responsibility. And waiting, I found myself waiting for someone to give me a project or even a simple task to do. And it left me feeling very stuck, unsure of my progress, unsure of my position in the industry that I had chosen to work in. So while it was a tough situation, it really pushed me to be patient, which has not always been a very good virtue of mine, and be more resourceful and proactive and never give up seeking out opportunities. So I think that the big part that I had to learn to do was how to provide this feedback to the bosses that I had over time in a way that wouldn't be seen as complaining. So and I thought a lot about this at the time. And so instead of going into my boss and saying, I'm really bored and have nothing to do, which was really very accurate to how I felt, I framed it in a more proactive way, saying, hey, I have some extra bandwidth and I can take on more tasks. And this is an opportunity for you to get more from me. And that was like a way to make it more about how I could serve the company as opposed to I was just bored and wanted something to do. So these experiences taught me these invaluable lessons. It's been a driving force for me to create more meaningful assignments, particularly for our summer interns, our summer students, new employees, people who are just getting started, to help them really avoid this sense of uncertainty and better support their growth.
Boy, that's such good advice. I remember the same situation. This is when I was a tool and die apprentice, and they were having me continuously mount wear plates. And I knew there was so many more things I could be doing to learn. And I love how you took the time to reframe, like really think about it and reframe how you were going to ask that question. The beauty is now we have Chat GPT to help us with that, right? Just put something in there, like say this in a more positive or proactive way. So we've got tools now, but I just give you so much credit for taking a pause and let me see how I can productively advocate for myself. So thank you for sharing that example. Jessica, let's thank you. Jessica, let's go to you next. I'd love to know what inspired you to choose engineering as your major and then as your career path, and then maybe reflecting on any barriers you faced along the way and how you overcame them.
Certainly. So I felt like my career here in engineering has been a series of like little steps and decisions that I made that led me here. It was not like in high school I knew like, yes, I want to be an engineer, and that was like my path forward. So I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do, but I liked science. I liked math. I did programming classes. When I was in elementary school, I got to do like a STEM industry kind of a project, and it kind of opened me up to like, hey, I like this and I'm good at it. But at the same time, I really loved music and being creative. And so there was always people telling you what they think you should do. And my parents certainly wanted me to shy away from more of the creative careers and to more of like a math science, because in their mind, that was something that could lead to a salary that they knew would be stable. Some of the creative stuff, they were a little terrified of that, really, to be honest. Along with that, I loved cars. They very much interested me, and my first car was a 97 Firebird Pontiac Firebird, and I just loved that thing. So I'm like, all right, auto industry would be really cool, and engineering would be pretty sweet. So really like liking math, science, computer programming. I knew some people that were going to Michigan Tech. So I was like, well, I guess I should go to Michigan Tech, and they're known for engineering. So engineering sounds good. My dad's an electrician. So how about electrical engineering? So for all those that like might not know exactly what they want to do, sometimes you just need to get your foot in the door and just choose something, because choosing something is part of the battle. And once you choose it and choose a path, you can pivot from there. But I will say, like engineering, after I got my degree and started in the industry, engineering really can take you places, and it's a wonderful career for like an entry point, because engineers, we know how to solve problems. And there's problems in every job you're going to encounter. So it's easy to pivot to a different career from engineering once you get your foot in the door.
Absolutely. So many things you can do with engineering, and the opportunities just keep increasing. I love that you talked about your first car. Mine was a red 77 Thunderbird. And it was huge. I can remember driving that thing and being so nervous, but it was such a cool car.
Yeah.
Thank you. Vismita, let's go to you next. There's so many opportunities, as we've kind of been hinting to, throughout automotive mobility, and now mobility is really expanded to, not only vehicles, but marine and air. And as technology increases, who knows what'll be next? And then motorsports, and Alba's going to talk to us a little bit about motorsports, but can you talk about some of your top tips for exploring and discovering the best career path?
Yeah. So, of course, I think Jessica really started this conversation really well, where she added this idea that you have to pick something, right? And this is the most important piece of advice, that pick a major, we can change it. You can change your job, you can change anything. So just make sure to at least get this foot in the door. So this is important. From a career standpoint and finding out the kind of opportunities, I have kind of these two paths, right? And we have to look at both of them. One is look at the big picture. There was a time where all you could do is you could be like working on one sensor in a car for 20 years. My company, we have folks who are working on just improving vehicle starts for 25 years. That's it. That's their job, right? Today, you have to look at it in a bit of a bird's eye view. You have to look at the entire vehicle as a system. So just like you said, there's all these different modes of transportation, but they're also changing exactly how they work, right? So for example, think about today when I talk about cars, I have to specify, is this an electric car? Is this a vehicle that runs on hydrogen? Then I have to think about not only what I need, what kind of infrastructure I need to charge this car, but how quickly I need to charge this car. So all these kind of topics touch vehicle, right? So your vehicle talks about infrastructure, talks about systems. You have to look at your environment, what's available. Everything kind of fits together. So think beyond just a car. Think about everything that touches this industry, right? Fuel cell, for example, and hydrogen, we are looking at marine applications, right? Maybe there is something coming in the marine area that hasn't changed in 50 years or 100 years, right? So this is one part of this. The second part of it is, how do I know the name of the job that I want to do? This is where it gets difficult, right? If I think about myself, I wanted to test vehicles. I wanted to make sure that the vehicle does what I wanted to do. I thought that was called controls. But there's all these other different jobs that relate to it. You can be an application engineer. You can be a calibration engineer. You can be a safety compliance engineer, like Cheryl pointed out. So there's all these different names of jobs that you can have. So if you're looking for an internship, you're looking for a job, look for the keywords. That would be more important than the title, right? Look for, if you're interested in working on the powertrain, look at these keywords, look at controls, or, cast a wide net. The other important thing in this area is also network. This is a bit of I would say, learned skill, or a little, in my view, an unfortunate situation because engineers typically are not interested in being friends with everybody or, making this big network. That's not always true, right? A lot of us are extroverts too. But reach out to folks to figure out, what do you do? Is this something that I want to do? For example, people love to talk about their careers, right? So this is how I would think about it, and more get involved with organizations like SAE, like your student organizations, and figure out what are they doing, what kind of connections they can bring for you, and what benefits they can bring. So I feel like these are kind of some of the ways, and of course, everybody else everybody can talk about what other ideas we have. But really, we have to think about the fact that we are in this changing time of the automotive industry. The car engine is now transforming, right? It has been the same thing since 100 years. So we're at this cusp, and it's a great opportunity to be a part of this industry.
Yes, yes. Wow. Great advice. Great advice. The networking thing, I know that is definitely a learned skill and it sometimes feels uncomfortable, but it's so, so important. I love that. Alba, I know that when some people start off their careers, and this happened to me, I felt like I had to fit in. But what has always stood out to me about you is you celebrate thinking differently. Tell us more about that. How did you have that courage to kind of stand in your own power?
Well, it hasn't been easy, Cheryl, to be honest with you, and to tell you a little bit about my story. So one day I decided I live in Puerto Rico, and by the way, I flew here to the States on a Sunday, and on Monday I started at GM. So it just was like, okay, and for me was okay. I need to fit in the culture of United States. I need to fit in trying to understand what's going on, and then I need to fit in motorsports at the same time. But I realized, I realized very soon that I was not hired to fit in. I was hired because I was bringing different thoughts. I was bringing different thoughts, and I needed to become, how can we say this in English? Comfortable in my own skin and celebrate what I was bringing. And this is the idea. The companies that progress a lot are the ones that think differently of their employees. It's what I call the diversity of thought. And it's about, it's about everybody has to be bring different ideas, and that's how companies are going to grow. So trust me, sometimes it's not easy. It's not easy because I have been called the weird one. I have been called the when are you planning to be normal? But I think that being always trying to, not trying, it's just I realize I like to think a little bit different, is what has made me successful. It is when I decided, you know what, I'm going to work in motorsports with barely a woman in motorsports at that time. And it's the one that, no, I want to do all these other things. And I realized, but at one moment, I have to be comfortable doing that. And I have to help others to be comfortable doing that. And you see that in a lot when people are getting out of college and they start their new jobs, and you see, they are trying to figure out, how am I going to be successful here? Do I need to follow everything that everybody's doing? And it's that opportunity to tell them, no, you just celebrate who you are and be innovative. And the way that you're being innovative is by being different and to bring your own opinions very respectfully, of course, but just to show, hey, this is my way of thinking, and all working together, we're going to be much better, all of us here and all the companies and so on. So I celebrate every day that I am different, and I want to encourage others to to get out of that box and think in that way too.
This is why Alba is my favorite. uh, one thing that I would also add is what she pointed out. There's no recipe to being an executive. You can be that person. You can lead an organization through change. You can lead an organization through a technical revolution. So no recipe, and that's exactly what Alba's doing. Yeah, she's different. She's not trying to fit in, and she's still doing the job, and she's doing it in an excellent way. So
Thank you, Vismita.
That's right. That's right. I love that so much. They didn't hire you to think like everyone else. I love what you said there. And with where this industry is going, we need everybody's creativity. We need innovative ideas, and we can't all be thinking the same. I'd love to have each one of you talk about why your involvement with SAE has been so important to you over your career, and then maybe what other influences have been important. And Cheryl, I want to start with you.
Sure. So my interface with SAE has mostly been through industry-wide symposiums. Like, for example, I spent a lot of my time in powertrain engineering working on onboard diagnostics. And the SAE Onboard Diagnostic Symposium has just been absolutely critical for bringing all of industry and the regulators together to talk about topics of interest and emerging trends and issues that the industry needs to face, as well, like associated with not only OBD, but in so many things that we do in the automotive industry. SAE really pulls all of the industry together to collaborate on setting standards. So the area that I work in currently and have heavily been influenced through all of the powertrain engineering that I work on is where there's regulations involved. But the regulations don't really prescribe the nuts and the bolts of exactly how the software works. It really sets up how the software has to perform. And SAE is just absolutely critical in helping to develop all those specifications, either for software function or for testing functions, performance functions, so that all of it just really brings everyone in industry together to help share knowledge, best practices, innovative solutions, set standards. It's really just been critical. And then relative to influences, I think that so clearly SAE has been a big part of what's influenced my career. Other influences, what I typically do in my career is really look for role models who demonstrate a behavior or excel in some kind of task that I want to emulate. And then I make a conscious effort to follow those examples and incorporate those qualities into my own actions. And I'll tell you, most of the time, those that I am observing relative to these role models don't even know that I'm watching their behavior in this manner. It might be something as simple as I go to a meeting and I see someone who is super effective at leading a meeting, particularly where there might be some kind of disagreement or chaos in the meeting. How does the leader handle that to get to the end in an effective way? It also might be like observing an entry-level employee coming in and embracing a new assignment with really enthusiasm. So I really get energy from seeing others that do things well or do things in a way that I would really like to emulate. And so at the same time, because most of these people don't even know that I'm observing them, I try and just always be conscious that others are probably observing me. So I try to always be like a positive role model for others in this type of area.
Oh my gosh, so beautiful. I just wanted to note also looking at the young people coming in that are just starting their careers, they can really give you that, burst of energy sometimes that we lose.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Jessica, let's go to you next.
Yeah, so one of the messages that I like to talk about is what I call improve your day job by spending time elsewhere. It's kind of a catchy phrase. But what I mean by that is, hey, you're interested in job XYZ, but you need these qualifications, but you don't have them. Well, is there a way to get those qualifications by being a part of an organization instead of doing them through your day job? So, for example, when I was starting out in my career, I did a lot of volunteering with the Society of Women Engineers. And that really gave me basic people skills and leadership skills that I couldn't get in my job as an entry level candidate, like running meetings, leading a team. And the pressure was off because you're not getting paid for that position, but yet you're learning all of those conflict management skills and everything else that benefits your day job. And I was really able to take them into my job and really propel my career from that standpoint. For SAE, I began to get involved with them with the auto drive collegiate challenge that GM is the sponsor of. And that was when I entered the autonomous software area and was kind of a newbie. I wanted to learn more about autonomous and get involved with the collegiate competition. And let me tell you, I learned a lot from those students. So that was really a role where I could learn some technical skills and also learn those soft skills again with my participation in that. And that participation in SAE from that regard is what led to my current job here as the SAE relationship manager, where now I get to see all things SAE. And let me tell you, there's just so many benefits that SAE offers with volunteering. And again, with those soft skill volunteering positions that you can hold, as well as standards development, where you can get your technical know-how through helping with the standards development with SAE. So like all in all, like you might not go into all this like with a plan and with a path, but just lean in and take on things that are exciting to you, and that's going to help you in your career.
I love that. Lean in and be open. Absolutely. Vismita, how about you?
So for me, SAE was like a shortcut. And I think this is how it should be for everybody, right? If you come from somewhere where you don't have the kind of exposure, you don't have the kind of support, and you don't have the network to know more about this industry that you want to be a part of, being a part of SAE already as a student gives you access to this big team or big network of individuals and engineers and executives. Right now, you are seeing people from an automotive OEM, a supplier, from a regulatory expert from an OEM, and a motorsports person, right? This kind of combination where you have access to so many folks, it is just not possible by me individually reaching out to everybody, right? So for me, this is how I look at SAE, is that this is a way for me to just be part of the team even before anything. And I can calibrate how far I want to be, how much I want to do, how less I want to do. I can do one event, I can do one student competition and kind of go. Another thing that SAE has been really critical for me is that as a college student, right, you're trying to figure out what you can do to understand or develop yourself technically, or understand what you want to do. And Formula SAE was this pivotal point. I won't say that, we had the best car, we did the best project, or that I did everything in the project, but really to just even get that exposure that you might not have otherwise is so critical to just understand the landscape. So for me, this was the most important part, is that if you don't have this background, right now you have access to somebody that's working in a place that you want to be in, and you don't even have to look for them, right? So this is for me excellent. And it also, from now, from a corporate perspective, SAE really helps us access this talent. We are also looking for you, right? It's the other way too, right? It's not just you looking for jobs. We're looking for people to help us make technologies a success. And this is also a critical role that SAE plays, is that you do this connection. You build this connection with universities or with national labs or with other teams. So this is what I would say is the biggest part for me.
Yes. Who doesn't want a shortcut? And the power of community is so important right now. Alba, how about you?
Can I say ditto to Vismita, pretty much everything that she said. No, but one thing, Vismita, before I answer the question, I remember my first year at Formula SAE, and at the endurance event, we go to endurance, and I saw my car going one way and one wheel going the opposite way. So I don't think that, trust me, I didn't have a good car that first year. But with that said, Formula SAE opened my eyes to things that I didn't know that even existed. Like I said, I was part of SAE in the role of treasurer, but the reality is, in Puerto Rico, we were like, okay, we had this club called SAE, but we don't know what to do with it. And suddenly we read about the Formula SAE competition. We asked for the rules and by the way, we built a car without even seeing a competition. We just went, built the car based on rules, came to United States. As soon as I went to Michigan, the competition was in Michigan, I remember. I fell in love, it was in General Motors, excuse me, in Michigan. I remember falling in love when I arrived to the Milford Proving Grounds. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. My first Corvette that I ever saw and, other vehicles. And I was like, wow, I never knew about this. This is fantastic. I also knew that my race car was not good enough compared with what everybody else was doing. But it woke up my curiosity about what is everybody doing, and I want to learn and I want to get better. And even that first day, we were already planning about coming back the next year because we were learning so much, so much. With that said, I have been involved with SAE since that first race car in 91. Okay, I'm putting my age out there, sorry. And I have been involved with SAE in many things. It's not only the student competitions, but it's also all the other things that you can see. I learned a lot about the standards. I learned a lot about, about how SAE helps not only the automotive side, but the aerospace, the commercial, and the opportunities and how many people I have met because SAE. With that said, one of the things, and I know that pretty much all of us are working in some way about this, is about how do we translate all those students to understand the value of SAE outside of their CDS programs. SAE will provide you as much as you provide them. And there are many opportunities for you to get technically better and also to learn many other skills to SAE. So I am telling you, all of us are ambassadors of that. And I owe SAE everything. With that said about the role models, of course, I think that every day in your life, you meet somebody that you're just like, wow, they're inspirational. I want to learn more about that, and that's great. But I think that I have told you also, Cheryl, mom and dad had a lot to do with my career, and at least to give me the moral compass and to give me the work ethic that I have. To be here. And of course, you meet other people that are so amazing and you want to learn from them. And there's always something positive from every human being that you can learn something and help you to get better. And for me now it's about what are we going to do to help the ones that are coming after us? And SAE has been a very great conduit to help to get great talent, like Vismita says, and I know that Jessica does that a lot too, get that great talent, but also, to train the future workforce, and they continue supporting SAE, but helping the other ones that are coming after us. So I am very pro SAE. I think that I have a virtual SAE tattoo in my body. Okay, so.
Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness. Well, we're about out of time, but I just want to have each of you give one sentence for what you want the audience to walk away with. And we'll go in the same order. Cheryl?
I would just say, don't be afraid to dream big and break barriers because the world needs you and your unique perspective.
Jessica?
So I wanted to share a quote I heard recently that is, every 20-year-old wants to be a millionaire and every millionaire wants to be 20. So think about that for a second. You've got a lot of excitement ahead of you in life. Yes, a lot of decisions that need to be made that'll lead you to exciting places, but just keep in mind that opportunity is priceless and you're in a very exciting part in your life and career path.
Thank you. Vismita?
Jessica, that's great. So I'll say this, it is easy to feel like you have to achieve everything when you're young, and it's easy to feel like I have all this pressure because I'm getting older, I'm in my 30s, I'm in my 40s. Mediocre men are doing this all the time. So you can also be doing it to not feel like somehow you are on a different time scale than people other than you.
Yes, that comparison can get us sometimes. Alba, bring us home.
For me, education is key. Education is key for success. Think out of the box. And I would say, enjoy what you're doing. Sometimes we get the pressure about, oh, where I want to be next, that we don't enjoy what we're doing. And it's very important to enjoy every single day. And where you are in your life is a necessary step for the next big thing that you want. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Cheryl, Jessica, Vismita, and Alba. I so enjoyed this. And boy, just keep going, keep inspiring. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Cheryl. That was
My
really
pleasure.
great moderation.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.